Warning: the Curious Native podcast contains mature topics and themes that are intended for an older youth and adult audience. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, welcome to the Curious Native podcast. I'm your host, hunnasmak, and in today's episode, we'll be taking a close look at the 2012 stop-motion film ParaNorman and its themes of race, bigotry, homophobia, and ostracization. Also, if you hear noises in the background, I'm sorry. It's just I do have a better mic that I'm using right now. I finally figured out how to get it working with the programs that I use to record, so that's something that's cool. But I do live in the city, like I was saying, so there's always going to be sounds around. It's also the weekend. People are drinking and stuff and listening to music, so there's that. But anyways, through our analysis, we'll explore how this film uses the horror genre to address real-world issues such as discrimination, fear, and the consequences of blind hatred. We'll also discuss the film's limitations and how it could have gone further in its messaging. We'll explore how the film's portrayal of forgiveness and reconciliation can be complex and how it raises, important questions about the role of forgiveness in the face of trauma and pain. Join us as we take a deep dive into ParaNorman and discover what we can learn from this powerful and thought-provoking film. ParaNorman is a 2012 stop-motion animated film that tells the story of a young boy named Norman who has the ability to see and communicate with ghosts. Norman is an outcast in his small town of Blith Hollow, where he is teased and bullied by his classmates because of his strange abilities. However, when a witch's curse threatens to destroy the town, Norman must use his unique talents to save the day. The film begins with a prologue that tells the story of a witch who was executed by the town's founders for practicing quote-unquote dark magic. The witch curses the town, vowing to return from the dead to seek revenge. The story then fast forwards to the present day, where we meet Norman, a young boy who lives with his parents and older sister Courtney. Norman is a loner who spends most of his time watching horror movies and talking to ghosts, specifically his grandma, who is a ghost. That's gonna be me. His parents and sisters don't understand him, and he is teased and bullied by his classmates. However, Norman's life changes when his eccentric uncle tells him that he is the only one who can stop the witch's curse from coming true. Norman is skeptical at first because when he starts seeing visions of the witch and other ghosts, he realizes that his uncle is telling the truth. Norman sets out to find the book that will stop the witch's curse, but he is thwarted by his skeptical family and the town's residents who think he is crazy. Despite the odds against him, Norman perverses and eventually finds the book he needs to stop the witch. However, when he reads the spell, he discovers that the witch is not the villain he thought she was. Instead, he learns that the witch was actually a young girl who was misunderstood and mistreated by the townspeople. Norman realizes that he must help the witch and teams up with his sister, his friend Neil, and Neil's older brother Mitch to stop the witch's curse and save the town. Mitch is my favorite character, by the way. Like the movie, I also love Neil. I also didn't mention it, but the young girl is also Norman's ancestor. Excuse me. Along the way, they encounter zombies, ghosts, and other supernatural beings, and they must work together to overcome their fears and save the day. The film's themes of acceptance and tolerance and the power of individuality are particularly relevant to people of color who have historically faced discrimination and marginalization because of their race or ethnicity. The film's portrayal of Norman as a misunderstood and mistreated outsider who ultimately saves his town is a powerful reminder of the importance of embracing our differences and standing up for what is right. By celebrating the unique talents and abilities of its hero and promoting a message of acceptance and understanding, ParaNorman is a film that resonates with audiences of all ages and backgrounds. Its blend of humor, heart, and horror makes it an instant classic, and its message of hope and resilience is one that will stay with viewers long after the credits roll. Overall, ParaNorman is a must-see film for anyone who loves animation, stop-motion, horror, or simply a great story and a great storytelling experience. At its core, ParaNorman is a story about a young boy who is misunderstood and ostracized by his community because of his abilities. Norman's ability to communicate with the dead makes him an outcast amongst his peers and a target for bullies. However, he learns that his differences are actually his greatest strength, and that his ability to see and speak with the dead is what ultimately allows him to save his town from a curse. The movie's message about embracing differences is particularly relevant to people of color who often face discrimination and marginalization because of their race or ethnicity. The film's portrayal of Norman as an outsider who is misunderstood and mistreated by his community resonates with the experiences of many people of color who have been marginalized or discriminated because of, their race or color of their skin. One of the key themes of ParaNorman is its importance of standing up against injustices and intolerance. Through the film, Norman is repeatedly bullied and harassed by his peers who view him as a strange and abnormal, However, he refuses to back down or conform to their expectations and instead, embraces his differences and stands up for what he believes in, not, without any bumps in the road. Obviously, otherwise it wouldn't be much of a movie. Go watch the movie, y'all. I am spoiling a bunch of it today, but I still think y'all should just watch the movie. You're never going to be able to get the full experience just from me speaking on, what my reading was of this film. The message is particularly relevant to people of color who have historically faced discrimination and oppression at the hands of those in power. The film's portrayal of Norman as a hero who stands up against injustice and intolerance is a powerful reminder of the importance of fighting for what is right, even in the face of adversity. Another important theme of ParaNorman is the power of individuality. The film celebrates the unique talents and abilities of its characters and emphasizes the importance of being true to oneself. Norman's ability to communicate with the dead is what ultimately allows him to save his town, and his willingness to embrace his differences is what sets him apart from his peers. This message is particularly relevant to people of color who have often been forced to conform to white cultural norms and expectations in order to succeed in American society. The film's portrayal of Norman as a hero who embraces his individuality and uses it to save his community is a powerful reminder of the importance of celebrating diversity and individuality. ParaNorman is a powerful and thought-provoking film that explores important themes of acceptance, tolerance, and the power of individuality. His message about embracing differences and standing up against injustices and intolerances is particularly relevant to people of color who have, been they have historically faced discrimination and marginalization because of their race or ethnicity. The film's portrayal of Norman as a misunderstood and mistreated outsider ultimately saves his town is a powerful reminder of the importance of embracing our differences and standing up for what is right. By celebrating the unique talents and abilities of its character, ParaNorman encourages viewers to embrace their individuality and to use their differences as a source of strength and... Oh shit, my mic is falling over. I apologize. To use their differences as a source of strength. Overall, ParaNorman is a powerful and inspiring film that delivers an important message about the importance of acceptance, tolerance, and individuality. Like I said, its themes are really particularly relevant to people of color, specifically maybe black people who have been and often been marginalized and discriminated against because of their race or, color of their skin. By celebrating diversity and standing up against injustice, ParaNorman offers a powerful message of hope and inspiration to viewers of all ages and backgrounds. Also, something I kept reading from this film was the fact that ParaNorman can be seen as a metaphor for homophobia in many ways. From the way that the film's hero is ostracized by his community to the themes of acceptance and intolerance that run through the film. At its core, ParaNorman is a film about a young boy who is different from those around him. Norman's ostracized by his community because of his unique abilities and is forced to navigate a world that is hostile to his differences. This is a situation that will be familiar to many members of the LGBTQ plus community who often face discrimination and prejudice because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. Throughout the film, we see how Norman is able to overcome the challenges he faces by embracing his differences and standing up to those who would, bully or discriminate against him. This is a powerful message for members of the LGBTQ plus community who are often told that they should hide their true selves in order to fit in with mainstream society. The film's portrayal of bullying and discrimination is also a powerful metaphor for homophobia. We see how hurtful and damaging bullying and discrimination can be and how important it is to stand up for what is right. This is a message that is particularly relevant to the members of the LGBTQ community who often face bullying and discrimination on a daily basis. Another important theme in ParaNorman is the idea that we should celebrate our differences rather than fear them. This is a message that is particularly relevant, who LGBTQ members often, face discrimination because of their differences. The film's hero, Norman, is a powerful example of how we should embrace our differences and use them to make a difference in the world. The film's portrayal of community is also important. We see how the town's residents are able to come together to overcome a common threat and how important it is for us to work together to create a better world. This is a message that, I feel like a lot of LGBTQ members need to hear, who often, these are people who often face discrimination and prejudice because of, quote unquote differences according to mainstream society. To see, people come together despite the differences to face, and to address an issue that they made in the first place. This is especially relevant if you watch the movie. It's a great message. Overall, ParaNorman is a powerful metaphor for homophobia, and its message of acceptance, tolerance, and standing up to bullies are more important now than ever before. There's a dog in the alley crying, and I don't know what's going on. So if you hear that, I apologize. The film's hero, Norman, is a powerful example of how we should embrace our differences and use them to make differences in the world, and its portrayal of bullying and discrimination is a powerful reminder of that harm and these behaviors can cause. The ostracization of youth due to homophobia and bigotry is incredibly damaging both to individuals who are targeted to society as a whole. When young people are ostracized because of their sexual orientation or gender identity, they are more likely to experience mental health issues such as depression and anxiety. They are also more likely to engage in risky behavior such as, drug and alcohol use, and they are at a higher risk of suicide. This is why ParaNorman's portrayal of this type of situation is so important. The film shows how damaging bullying and discrimination can be, and it provides a powerful message of hope and resilience for young people who are struggling with these issues. By showing, a young hero who is able to overcome the challenges he faces, the film provides a positive role model for young people who are struggling with homophobia and bigotry. One of the key themes of ParaNorman is the importance of acceptance and tolerance. The film shows how damaging it can be when we fail to accept people for who they are, and it provides a powerful message of hope and resilience for young people who are struggling with these issues. By showing a young hero is able to overcome the challenges he faces, the film provides a positive role model for young people who are struggling with homophobia and bigotry. Another important theme in the film is the idea that we should celebrate our differences rather than fear them. Like I mentioned earlier, this film's hero, Norman, is a powerful example of how we should embrace our differences and use them to make a difference in the world. ParaNorman also shows the importance of standing up to bullies and discrimination. The film's portrayal of bullying and, discrimination is a powerful reminder of the harm that these behaviors can cause, and it provides a positive message of hope and resilience for young people who are struggling with these issues. The film shows how important it is to stand up for what is right, even when it is difficult or unpopular. Another important aspect of the film is its portrayal of community. We see how the town's residents are able to come together to overcome a common threat, and how important it is for us to work together to create a better world. This is a message that is particularly relevant to members of the LGBTQ community who often face discrimination and prejudice because of their differences, especially in, their own communities. And when I'm not speaking on the LGBT communities, I'm speaking on communities where you're from, where you're raised, and the people who you're around, not your chosen community, not your chosen family. The film's portrayal of discrimination and ostracization is also important because it helps to raise awareness of these issues and to encourage people to take action to address them. By shining a light on the harm that bullying and discrimination and intolerance of people who are different from you can cause, the film helps to create a culture of acceptance and tolerance. It encourages young people to stand up for what is right, to celebrate their differences, and to work together to create a better world. Overall, ParaNorman's portrayal of ostracization of youth due to homophobia and bigotry is incredibly important. The film provides a powerful message and hope and resilience for young people who are struggling with these issues. And, it encourages all of us to work together to create a more accepting and tolerant world. And, by showing the harm that bullying and discrimination can cause, the film helps to raise awareness of these issues and to encourage people to take action to address them. On the one hand, the film encourages forgiveness and understanding. It suggests that people who have been ostracized or bullied should try to understand the people who are hurting them, and that they should try to forgive them. This is an important message as it encourages empathy and compassion, and it can help to, break down barriers between people. While ParaNorman is, an important film that raises awareness of harm and ostracization, bullying, and bigotry and discrimination can cause, it does have, some limitations. One of these limitations is that it presents a very black and white view of forgiveness and fear. On the other hand, the film also suggests that fear is never justified. It presents the idea that people who are afraid of others who are different from them are simply ignorant and misguided, and that they need to be educated and enlightened. While this is a noble idea, it doesn't take into account the very real fear that many people feel when they are confronted with the difference. This fear can be deeply ingrained, and it can be very difficult to overcome. Moreover, the film doesn't give nuance or consideration to the feelings of the victims of bigotry and ostracization. And that's who I was talking about when I said the fear that people feel when they are confronted with difference. I'm not speaking on, the people who fear the difference. I'm speaking about the people who are the difference, who have to face the people who fear the difference. That's what I mean. I might have worded it weird, but that is exactly what I mean. While it encourages forgiveness and understanding, it doesn't acknowledge the very real pain and trauma that many people experience as a result of discrimination. It doesn't give, voice to the anger and frustration that many people feel when they are treated unfairly, and it doesn't explore the complex emotions that can arise in response to discrimination. While ParaNorman is an important film that raises awareness of the harm of bullying and discrimination, and what it can cause, it does have some limitations. Its portrayal of forgiveness and fear is too black and white. It doesn't give nuanced consideration to the feelings of the victims of bigotry or ostracization. It could have given a more nuanced message about fear and forgiveness by considering the feelings and trauma of the victims. One way this film could have done this is by acknowledging the very real pain and trauma that many people experience as a result of discrimination. Instead of simply encouraging forgiveness and understanding, the film could have given voice to the anger and frustration that many people feel when they are treated unfairly. It could have implored the complex emotions that can arise in response to discrimination, and it could have shown how difficult it can be to overcome these emotions. The film could have also shown how fear can be deeply ingrained and how it can be very difficult to overcome. Especially when it has to do with like PTSD and stuff, which I'm not going to get too deep into. That was a reading that I seen, but I'm not medically trained and I don't know enough about psychology to speak on those things, so I'm not going to get into that. But, another way the film could have given a more nuanced message about fear and forgiveness is by exploring the power dynamics that are often at play in situations of discrimination. By showing how power is often used to perpetuate discrimination, the film could have given a more nuanced message about how to address these issues. It could have shown how people who are in position of power can use their influence to create change, and how it could have shown how people who are marginalized can use their voices to speak out against discrimination. The film could have also explored the role of trauma in situations of discrimination. It could have shown how trauma can be passed down from generation to generation, and how it can be very difficult to break free from these cycles. By acknowledging the role of trauma in perpetuating discrimination, the film could have given a more nuanced message about how to address these issues. And I'm not saying the film didn't try, it definitely did. It just was just a little too black and white for me. Ultimately, ParaNorman could have given a more nuanced message about fear and forgiveness by acknowledging the complexity of these issues, by showing how difficult it can be to overcome fear and trauma, and by exploring the power dynamics that are often in play in situations of discrimination. The film could have given a more nuanced message about how to address these issues. Nonetheless, it is still an important film that raises awareness of the harm of bullying, discrimination, and, bigotry can cause. It is a film that everyone should see. In conclusion, ParaNorman is a sweet and important film that raises awareness of the harm that bigotry and ostracization and discrimination can cause. While it may have some limitations in terms of its message about fear and forgiveness, it is nonetheless offers, a powerful message about the importance of empathy, understanding, and acceptance by showing how discrimination can be hurtful and how it can affect people in different ways. ParaNorman encourages viewers to be more aware of their own actions and to be more empathetic towards others. It also shows how important it is to stand up against discrimination and to use one's voice to create change. Overall, ParaNorman is a film that everyone should see. It is a powerful reminder of the importance of empathy, understanding, and acceptance, and it offers a message of hope in the face of discrimination. Despite its limitations, it is a sweet and important film that has the potential to start important conversations about the harm that bigotry and discrimination can cause. With that being said, if you like today's episode and would like more like this, please go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, share, and, to let me know you're enjoying all the hard work and research that goes into these episodes. And if you like me and what I have to say, please feel free to follow me on my main Twitter page at iThine, and please follow the podcast official Twitter page at TCNpod. I'm also over on Threads, and I also am over on Blue Sky. Everything will be linked down below, including all my sources, which this is mostly analysis in my opinion from what I was reading, so there won't be too much, but there will be some other opinions. Obviously, I'm not gonna shout into a box. That's not what I'm gonna do. With that being said, though, I'm hunnasmak, and this has been the Curious Native Podcast.